what was the UK had like 50,000 deaths or something like that.
Yeah.
First country to reach it in Europe. I don't even know if the Premier like. I think a lot of the people are starting to go, well, is the Premier League still going to go ahead because the government did a lockdown because of all this stuff to begin with, but because all the players are more in a bubble, I don't think so. I don't think it should. Sort of the same way that the NRL didn't when the sort
With
of
that
wave came
said,
out.
do we think Corona's gone in Australia? When we think about it, I live my life comfortably now. Like, I'm actually angry at myself at the fact that I was actually worried. When was it? When it was in March earlier this year, when Corona was at full peak. You know, the world stopped. Everyone was at
When we
home.
first went into proper
Like, I was a
lockdown,
little panicked. I might lie. Like, bro, I had a second kid on the way. My wife was heavily pregnant. I just lost my job. You know what I mean? So it was like I was anxious at the time. Fair enough. Like, certain factors led me to that, to those emotions. But I don't know. Now I'm feeling like, bro, they just announced today, Suncorp, Game 3 of State of Origin is full
crowd.
capacity.
The irony,
40,000, yeah.
The irony.
I know. That jerk off, what's her name?
I don't know. I'm just going to call it
The
Anastasia
Premier.
Slazajak.
Bro, she's playing games. That's bullshit, man. Like, surely the people see this. Like, you know, she won't open the borders to... No, did you hear that she'd open the borders to Melbourne, but she wouldn't open it to Sydney?
You know why? It's because our Premier and her are just having a...
Gareth Bale-
they're just having a man who's got... It's a big dick contest. Literally, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Who's got the bigger dick? And because... You know what it feels like? I feel like they're all in a WhatsApp group and then they're just annoying each other.
I got you on Channel 7. Did you see me today? You know what I mean?
Oi, turn on 9.
But see, realistically, you know, in a serious note, this is affecting people's livelihoods. I mean, think about the tourism that's being affected in Queensland. You know what I mean? All these people that are, you know, I mean, think about it. No one from overseas can come to this country. Right? So obviously GDP is affected and economies are being affected. People's livelihoods are being affected. Just like surely you can't be that shallow and go, you know what, these guys want to play games. I'm gonna leave the borders closed. So, you know, because I can, because I'm the boss. You know what I mean? Like, surely they have advisors or something, or someone saying, hey, come on, bro, like, stop playing the games and think seriously on this note, because, you know, this is affecting people other than yourselves.
See, she's got stats on her side, which is the health stats, which is... So you can either go... You got to pick two paths here, in my opinion. You either got to go tourism or you got to go health. If your health advisors are saying, hey, we've got no deaths or we've got no cases, but that's only new news to us, and your tourism guy is going, well, our shops are going to suffer, our people are going to suffer, we're going into summer, and we know the Gold Coast is a summer place. You have schoolies, you have people that go to the theme parks, school holidays, etc., etc.
Yeah.
That's going to take a major hit. So she's making the big decision, which is, well, I prefer health than tourism.
Bro, and they've been promoting this whole, like, oh, do you want to go on a holiday? Do it somewhere in Australia sort of thing, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Exactly.
I'll spend $5,000.
people don't have money to... Well, a lot of
Yeah,
people are
that's true.
made redundant out of work. So you want people to go into touristy places where they've jacked up the prices, let's all, you know, be aware of that, and waste money that they don't have just so we get the economy flowing. Like, dude, no one's got money at the moment to be traveling, and half of Australia is pregnant.
That's true too.
Are they
Look,
really?
Man,
Dude,
there's a corona boom.
bro, you lock
on
people up, and
babies.
what do, cuz? Make babies.
Netflix can only go for so long.
Until
But
the
look,
chilling starts.
well, like this topic of coronavirus, you can go into so many different factors here, like major factors that people actually aren't taking into consideration a lot, which is most of the home loans are on deferrals. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's paying it yet.
My
Your
truck
interest-
loan is on deferral.
the interest on the house
Oh,
loans
well,
is currently still adding on to houses, and I'm talking about people that they don't have jobs, or that, you know, they're looking at one of their their income has dropped
They've
because
made a, there's
yes,
Oh, they're
there's
on
been a loss
JobKeeper.
within the family from an income
Yeah,
perspective.
job seeker, job keeper.
Exactly.
The
And
government support.
then you got, what is it, job seeker or keeper? One of the jobs thingies is going to drop down come
both
March
job seeker,
now,
job
because
seeker.
Job seeker is going to drop down in March, because originally it was supposed to be January, but I think they extended
they
over to
extended
February
it.
and March.
Yeah.
But eventually that's going to go. And then once these banks have had enough, because at the end of the day, the bank rules all. Okay, we can talk about the government, we can talk about everything. The bank rules all. The Federal Reserve and the banks go, you know what? It's time we start getting this country back in order. You got to start paying those bills.
Yeah, and how are they going to enforce that? Are they going to send me a note?
No, because banks make more money off actual bankruptcies and loan
Yeah,
deferrals.
that's true. Yeah.
Because those loans are secured for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Oh, the majority of them are, anyways.
You think any bank's going to give anyone a loan and say, I'm not,
No,
regardless
no,
of what,
like
I'm
in
not
the
getting my
sense where
money
it's
back?
like real estate, fair enough. But then you got some guys that are like myself. I have a loan on my truck. You know what I mean? So regardless, they're not going to get the value back that I got the loan for. Well, not close to it, anyways.
But the money, they don't care about your product. The product is just an insurance policy on
Yeah, of
their
course. Yeah,
insurance
yeah.
on their money.
Unless I crash it and then I just take the insurance out.
Well, it's good
No.
that this isn't recorded. You know what I mean? But when it comes back to like that type of stuff, the bank wins.
Yeah, yeah.
The bank is the house.
Yeah, they've
Do you know what I
always.
mean? What's that terminology in the casinos?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The house always wins.
Yeah.
It's what it is. The house always wins. The bank is going to win regardless of this scenario. The banks are actually pissed off that their profit only dropped $4 billion. Do you know what I mean? Like, fair enough, most of the people are losing money now, but they made $4 billion. So you got to take that into consideration. Is there going to be any jobs for these people in the coming future year, like in the year? We're talking about airport closures. We're still talking about tourism
Yeah.
closures. We're talking about Virgin still trying to bring all their stuff up and running. They're thinking about being a second-tier airline. And
Yeah.
look at the major effect. How many people did they let go? 10,000 people or something like that.
But with that said, I'm sure as a society as a whole, we've all become adaptive in terms of these new adversaries that we've all faced. I mean, we've all faced it. I'm sure we've all been affected some way by Corona. And I mean, like for instance, as an example, I mean, I lost my contract. An actual a very very how can I say?
A contract within your job, yeah.
Anyways, I lost that contract. There was a brief anxious period in my life. I mean, obviously, as I stated before, but with that said, I found another job. You know what I mean? I adapted to my
Your surroundings.
my surroundings. Anyways, another example would be restaurants. You know what I mean? They started doing the whole takeaway thing. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, they weren't making what they wanted to make financially, but they were still at least carrying out their general expenses. You know what I mean? They were paying rent. I mean, I knew of friends that were just happy to pay their rent off. You know what I mean? They didn't give a shit about anything else, but they were just happy to get their rent paid for. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like, in my personal opinion, I think the world was duped by Corona. I think. And like, I'm not trying to...
Duped how?
Well, stats are coming out now saying that children under the age of 16 aren't actually affected by Corona, or they're not susceptible. I mean, they say they carry it, but they're not.
The mortality rate is less.
Yeah. Whereas if you're, factors like if you're overweight, if you're obese, if you're over 40 years of age, or you have certain illnesses or like heart conditions or diabetes or whatnot, like certain diseases, you're capable. Right. I'm sure you could have said that before Corona came. If you had a cop the flu, if your body wasn't right, your immune system was going to be at stake. You know what I mean?
Do you think that's misinformation by the people, or the government just didn't know what they would? Or
Yeah, that
the
too.
people involved didn't
Yeah,
know what they
both-
were dealing
both,
with, so they
but
took action.
Both are like, it scared the whole world. Like, I wasn't the only scared. I wasn't the only anxious person at the time. I'm sure the whole world was. I mean, look. Like, have we ever seen that before? I mean, we're 30 years of age.
SARS.
Yeah, SARS wasn't as big. SARS I didn't even care about.
SARS, you didn't.
SARS
care
was
about.
in China.
No,
What-
SARS. The thing with SARS was a bit easier to detect because it was based on body temperature. So what they did was they just put up temperature things at the airport.
Yeah.
People just walk through it instantly. Here, you got to put a stick up your nose and down your throat.
So
and
that's what I
everything.
mean. Like people say you can contract Corona without actually showing signs of like the illness. So doesn't matter if you got the high temperature or you got snot coming in your nose or you're coughing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like now that we're actually going through this time and we're getting more information, like you mentioned before, the statistics, and now we're realizing, and now that they're coming out with vaccines, it's a bit convenient. Like, I'm not going to go into this conspiracy alley and say that, there's an agenda, there's a high agenda within
Come on,
elite-
Eddie. Come
We've
on,
been-
Eddie Bravo.
within an elite organization. I'm not going to go that route because I don't know myself. I don't know enough to actually comment on that. I'm not going to be ignorant and say, oh, you know, that's it. The government wants us to rub out this and that. Like, no, I'm not going to say that. Like, let's be realistic here. But in hindsight, I think...
I think it is a conspiracy.
Nah, like, I think the world panicked and they just shut down. Like, dude, realistically, I think we can all agree that we're all going to die. Regardless of how it happens, we're all going to die one day. You know what I mean?
So let's have lunch on a highway. Fucking hell.
But then, like, cause take the necessary precautions. But bro, like they're saying now that there's gonna be more people dying from suicide than there is from corona. You know what I mean? That's a big thing to
Bro,
say.
suicide is one of the biggest killers
Exactly.
before corona.
But that's what I'm getting to. It's gonna. They said that it was already an issue, but imagine now people are starting to lose jobs. You know, they're not going to be able to pay rent. They're not going to be able to buy the things they want because they don't have any money. Eventually, job seeker's going to be job seeker or job keeper's going to go. What are these people going to do? Eventually, they're going to find the easy way out. And unfortunately, in society, in today's day and age, people aren't as strong as they were back maybe 50 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm talking about some of the hard times people faced many years ago before, you know, all this easy stuff. Before life is as easy as it is today.
You mean less millennials? We're having a shot at the millennials
Nah,
now. Now, look,
nah.
I agree with what you're saying to an extent. Okay.
Of course, yeah. I'm not saying that's the 100%.
No,
I'm just saying that's just something to. Do you get what I mean?
I know what you're trying to say. I
Thank
really
you,
do.
thank you.
But it's a two-way.
I agree.
It's a two-ended sword here because you can go like this. Okay. Say you didn't shut down. Say there was no issues.
That's also
say,
a very valid point.
and then you went to, I don't know how many deaths in Australia, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Beautiful. Don't we have
We have a very low number compared to the rest of the world. Okay. And I think what UK's roughly have, since the time, it's like 1/10 or 1/20th of whatever it is. Look, there's a big fence here. It depends on which side you're sitting on. Okay. You have people out there which come out and said coronavirus is fake. Okay.
I never said it was fake.
I'm not
just
saying
questioning.
I'm not saying it's you.
I
I'm not
understand.
saying it's you. I'm
I
saying
just want to
there's
be
people out there-
straightforward with everyone before everyone attacks me and says, "Hey, you idiot! Like, you know, you don't know enough to ring." I agree. I don't know enough.
Inan has no health degree, and
I don't.
Inan says coronavirus. No, joking,
But I've
joking.
been taught to question everything. You know what I mean?
Which is fair enough. Okay, and which is what I'm getting to. You got the fence. Okay, you got this massive fence. You got people who sit there and say coronavirus is fake. It's a hoax. It's whatever. I don't believe that per se because coronavirus is a strain. It's a
Of
flu
course,
strain.
yeah, I agree.
Okay,
Nah, I
you
never
can
said it
have
was fake. Yeah.
There's no problem in. I shouldn't say no problem in having it, but I'm saying no problem in believing that it exists.
Yeah.
Whether, and I think this is where the problem came out. What was it? December, January, when China started to have it. What was the first thing you saw in the media?
People
People-
dying on the street.
Bro,
People
dying on the street, yeah.
You just see this woman just going,
You know what I mean?
falling up.
Yeah.
Then you're going, fuck, that could come here. You go,
That's
am I
exactly
gonna,
what I
am I going to
thought.
be walking down Pitt Street or walking down Church Street in Parramatta and someone's, you got an Uber guy running and just goes, pop. Falls down. Like, is that what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And
No,
then
it didn't. It was the toilet paper that fucking went missing. That was the biggest problem.
toilet paper. No. But it's once we started to see that, we went, okay, this could be a problem. Then you had the World Health Organization who didn't know what the fuck they were doing to begin with, in my opinion, and they didn't know how to tackle it. And they told everyone it wasn't a big deal, which is where Trump gets it from. He says the World Health Organization. But then once he came to Australia, then you saw 1 death, 2 death, 3 death, 1,000 cases, 100 cases. Then Australia royally fucked up because of
That Princess
Ruby
Cruise or whatever,
Princess.
Ruby Princess.
They stuffed it up, and then Victoria stuffed it up even more with a second wave. Then he went out of control. So what did the government do? We need to lock down because they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I know.
That's where the big problem.
yeah.
But I can also understand where the conspiracy theories come from, which is people labeling coronavirus deaths when it had nothing relevant to do so, which I've seen. Again, you can only go off what you see on the media and what you see off doctors and et cetera, where
Yeah.
some doctors have been peer pressured to write that on death certificate notes.
Yeah,
Which is what
yeah,
they're
I've
saying.
heard that too.
I haven't seen the label itself. I haven't been there when they've been doing it, but they're saying that they're feeling under pressure to have that done
Yeah,
to
and
them.
there's a meme on Facebook and Instagram saying that no one's died of natural causes since March.
Exactly.
Has
And-
it? I haven't seen that meme.
But you can't help it for them to feel that. Now, I was watching a few videos, and this is where I think this is where the problem is, and I understand this major issue now. So in Melbourne at the moment, so we know Melbourne's just slowly starting to ease their restrictions, okay? When they had protests for the lockdown and against the lockdown, the police pepper sprayed the living shit out of these people, okay? They went ape shit crazy on these people when it was peaceful to begin with, okay? They're just doing their normal thing, whatever. Then you have these current recent protests, which is the climate change people who are suddenly decided to come out again.
And the Black Lives Matter.
And the Black Lives Matter. No interest. No interest in police involvement. Police are there, but they don't care that people aren't social distancing. They don't care what they're doing. So then you wonder why people are getting the shits.
Yeah.
So, and I can genuinely understand that. And there was actually a statistic where lockdown actually helped climate change. Do you know what I mean? Like, so what do we just stay in our houses for the rest of our lives? Or like, this is what I'm trying to get to, where there is so many problems across the board, and there's so many different groups that hate so many different reasons.
Everyone has an
How
agenda.
do you tackle it?
Yeah, everyone has an agenda.
I agree. That's also a valid point. Like putting myself in the leaders' positions, whether it be ScoMo or Berwick Jicklin or the other guys in Australia, the state ministers.
Mr. Andrews.
It's a big responsibility. What choice do you make? I mean, you can only find out so much information and then make that critical decision. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I'm not sitting here bagging them out because it is a big responsibility. I completely agree. Like, you know, I have respect for that. But I just think that they need to be considerate of others as well. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they saved. They can't even say, "Oh,
you
we
can't
saved."
put a number on it.
Exactly. Oh, I agree. You know, but I don't want anyone to die. Don't get me wrong. Like, I sound negative saying this. Like, oh, we shouldn't shut this down for the 5,000 supposed people that are gonna pass away from Corona. Of course, I don't want anyone to die, but we have to be more realistic than this.
And we want to watch The Origin in Queensland.
Good. Look, it falls down to, like I said, there's so many different topics of how to handle. Now, I haven't even mentioned the biggest problem that's going to come up yet. And the biggest problem that's going to come up is your vaccine.
Yeah. Are
we
we guys going to get it?
That's what's going to come. For me, look, I can't make a decision because I'll deal with that issue once it's actually time to deal with it. Okay? Because you have so many people that are anti-vaxxers. You have so many people that are pro-vaccine. You have people that are in the middle where they'll take the vaccinations at the beginning for their children and they won't take the coronavirus vaccine. You know, like there's so many different groups that you don't even know who to listen to and what to believe from.
You know.
So it also comes down to this: how much of your freedom do you actually give a shit about?
Yeah.
When the vaccine actually does come out.
That's an excellent question.
Because if the government comes out and says, I know most people in this country like to holiday, and they say,
no,
if you
not
come
me. I don't like the holiday.
you
What are you
don't
talking
like-
about?
you don't like to leave? No.
I don't like the holiday. What are you talking about?
I love staying in this area. But government says to you, you can't come back into the country if you don't have a vaccine.
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
That's a big possibility.
Yeah. Or the government comes out and says, to be eligible for government benefits, you must be vaccinated. Or the government comes out and says, to take this airplane or to make a plane ticket or to do this, you must be vaccinated. What are you going to do?
That's a good.
Looks
That's
like
an excellent question.
Looks like you're driving everywhere.
The first thing's going to be in the education system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one was, what's that thing that you go to before school?
Preschool.
Orientation,
Kindergarten.
childcare.
Preschool childcare. Can't put your children in there if they're not vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you want it these days anyway, not after what happened this week.